Back in a distant time of the early 2010s, an animated show that was cancelled after one season was gaining a lot of traction in social media. People kept talking about how great the animation was, and how engaging the plot and characters felt, as well as how unfair it was to see it cancelled when it still had so much potential. There were petitions made to revive it, campaigns to spark up interest and get people to support it, but ultimately no great deal was achieved, even though the series still has a bit of a cult following. I am talking, of course, about Motor City. But then I saw the booty scene from Sym-Bionic Titan and decided to watch that instead.
No!
I wanna talk about Sym-Bionic Titan. Maybe you've heard of the series by now, but let me give you a quick rundown anyway. Sym-Bionic Titan was an animated series co-created by Brian Andrews, Paul Rudish, and this other guy called Genndy Tartakovsky who did some other stuff? Probably nothing special. The story follows an alien princess, her personal bodyguard, and a robot escort as they crash land on Earth while escaping from their war-torn planet. Now they must blend in with the rest of the humans while also fighting monsters that were sent to destroy them. Each character has their own mecha suit and abilities, which can then be combined to form a giant robot known as the Sym-Bionic Titan, thus naming the series, the perfect union of heart, body, and mind. As the characters try to join human society, they are tossed into a high school environment, which of course is absolutely packed with tropes that seem to pop out right from an 80s movie, with the nerds and the jocks and the cheerleaders and all the social pressure of trying to find your caste and stick to the status quo. Will our heroes be able to navigate the nuances of social interactions while also saving the galaxy? Will they fail miserably while trying to fit in? Or will they abolish the division of student groups altogether and conquer the school with the power of friendship? Will there be a prom episode? Yes. Kind of. Sort of. But that's not where the real appeal of the series lies. As much as audiences in general can be fond of high school teen dramas or cool robots fighting monsters, the show isn't as generic as the premise makes it sound. There is a real charm to this story that is easy to overlook if you don't give it a chance. Let's take the characters for instance, starting with Alana. Being the last heir to the throne, she was sent to Earth in order to be protected from the ongoing war in her home planet, known as Galiluna. She's trusting and kind, the heart of both her group and her planet as a whole. She has a bit of trouble fitting in, since her optimistic personality can be a little overbearing, but her spirit is never crushed. At first, she might come off as the sheltered, overly positive princess that believes everything can be solved with love and friendship. And in a way, she is. She's been brought up in times of relative peace and does her best to extend the kindness and help of her kingdom to all of those in need. But on Earth, her perkiness becomes a defense mechanism as she desperately tries to build a happy home in an unknown planet, far from her land and loved ones. The qualities that once made her adored now turn her into an outcast, and whatever progress she makes in creating a safe place is constantly threatened by the monsters sent by her enemies. She has to live not only with her crushing homesickness, but also with the notion that danger will follow her wherever she goes, always trying to stop her from finding happiness and safety, as well as threatening all of those around her. Given the circumstances, her cheerful personality is the biggest strength she has. I mean, that and her giant robot. But another equally important part of the team is her personal guard Lance, who looks like that one guy from Voltron while being named like that other guy from Voltron. While he has a much easier time fitting in than Alana, because who doesn't love a brooding emo boy?
I don't get it.
Dark hair, bedroom eyes, moody demeanor. I totally get it.
What?
This doesn't bring him any happiness or relief, since he has no interest on building a life on Earth. Lance's career as a guard was more or less chosen for him instead of by him, as he was sent to a prestigious training academy after the death of his father. Constantly tormented by bullies and unhelpful authority figures, Lance learned that excelling at the path he was appointed to was the only way he would receive love and support, with all odds being stacked against him. Despite his troubled history and aggressive upbringing, he managed to become one of Galaluna's best soldiers, which is why he's being tasked with protecting the princess. Except, now that he's stuck in high school, pretty much all the skills he's been valued for all his life are useless. Even the fact that the entire school body deems him worthy of being popular is the last thing he would want, given his past troubles with social interactions. Unless he is placed within a situation where he needs to defend Alana, Lance's new way of life completely defies his purpose. And yet, there are still moments where a more playful, perkier side of him shines through, and we get a glimpse of how happy he could have been if he had been raised differently, as well as what life on Earth could truly bring him if he'd let himself open up. Both Lance and Alana have individual combat suits that they can activate in order to fight, but the Titan itself cannot be formed without the third member of the group, Octus, also known as the best character. Not much is known about him at first, aside from the fact that he is a robot tasked with protecting the royal ensemble. He has a lot more personality than your average machine, and also holds the necessary programming to activate many of the Titan's features. But a lot of that seems like a mystery even to himself. Unlike Lance and Alana, he doesn't have a detailed upbringing that shaped him into the individual he is now. He barely knows the princess on a personal level, and although he is an essential piece to form the Titan, he also didn't quite know they could do it. His position within the group is a little weird. He isn't exactly human, but he'll fit in more easily if he acts like one, so that's what he usually presents himself as. Since he can assume any shape he wants, he sometimes takes on the role of Lance and Alana's dad in public, while other times being their classmate. This ends up reflecting the general part he plays within the team. Because he is a robot, he can access information quickly and effectively, and ends up serving as a guide to help Lance and Alana find their way on Earth, much like a father figure would. But he is just as much of an outcast as they are, and often feels just as caught up in his own emotions as any teenager would. To him, Earth represents the place where he essentially began to define himself, discovering a human side he didn't even know he had. But of course, the characters are only as good as the adventures they get themselves into. A show like this needs a plot in order to keep viewers invested. And as far as stories go, Sym-Bionic Titans is pretty darn great. The series has an excellent mix of action and drama, bringing in powerful fights with different monsters where each have their own way of being defeated, while balancing it out with the daily lives of our heroes as they try to fit in on Earth. The slice of life side of the writing can fall into the various high school cliches we've seen a million times, but they never steer too far off from the intergalactic conflicts affecting our heroes, be them external or internal. Whenever you're getting a little too used to the general teenage shenanigans, the series makes sure to throw in an extra emotional punch to remind you of all the characters have been through on their lives before and because of the war. It is the atmosphere of the show that really stands out as one of its most defining qualities. For all the action and high school drama, it's overall very quiet. The characters take their time in moody, contemplative scenes, letting the weight of all that's been going on truly sink in. The series is not afraid of letting the characters develop and explore who they are. In episode 9, for instance, the gang finds a cute alien and don't do much aside from interacting with it, letting their personalities shine through in the different ways they treat their new pet. On the other hand, episode 14 has time literally stop for every human, leaving only Octus aware of what is happening, leading him to question what his place really is in this world. Even the infamous booty scene on episode 10 results in a surprisingly deep conversation where the cheerleader in question feels like she isn't allowed to be smart just because of how she looks. It's beats like these that make the show feel special and set it apart from the rest of the whole teenage mecha scene. The animation doesn't let us down either, with cool creature designs, well-choreographed fight scenes, and some nice atmospheric environments. The CGI can be a little obvious, but it's nothing atrocious. The jokes can have a bit of a boomer humor vibe from time to time, but even that works when you consider that the story is being told from the perspective of aliens, and life on Earth just feels like a loud, exaggerated experience. A lot of thought and care went into the making of the series, and it really shows. The creators have gone on interviews saying that they wanted to make something that they themselves could enjoy, as the love would shine through and reach different types of viewers. When I said some of the tropes in the series sounded like something from an 80s movie, I wasn't exaggerating either, as 16 Candles and The Breakfast Club were cited as inspirations behind the show. It really just seems like something that the crew had actual fun working on. It's got some great action, fantastic characters, a really engaging plot, and then it was cancelled. Lasting exactly one season of 20 episodes, the show had a short run of less than a year between September of 2011 and April of 2012, ending its original airing on Cartoon Network and only returning later that year on Adult Swim's Toonami block. Throughout its original run, the series saw a short hiatus period in January and one schedule change, going from an evening to a morning slot. There is a lot of speculation as to why the show was cancelled. The official reason given at the time was that the network was having trouble developing a toy line, and with much of a show's future depending on merchandise sales, this was bad news. But at the same time, one look at the series is enough to conclude that if they really wanted to make toys out of it, they totally could have. Not only you have a wide array of robots and monsters, you have a varied cast of characters that could result in a lot of cool action figures. If they didn't have toys, it's because they didn't try hard enough. Another reason might be that the team was having trouble marketing the show within the channel itself. Even though Tartakovsky said he believed people of any age could like the show, he also believed the series wasn't exactly for kids and was more targeted towards older viewers. Perhaps the network was struggling to find the show's true audience, hence why they tried changing its airing time. Sym-Bionic Titan is, admittedly, filled with scenes of violence and suffering, but it's nothing too different from what kids were already being exposed to on other shows. Finally, there is also the theory that the show ended because Tartakovsky himself moved on. Cartoon Brew, for instance, reports that he had gone to Sony Pictures Animation, and maybe the series just couldn't carry on without him, even though the ratings were doing just fine. Looking at the episodes we have, it is possible to assume that this cancellation wasn't immediate, and that the writers had a chance to wrap things up even if it did feel a little rushed. The finale still leaves a lot on the open, but at least gave the series some sort of conclusion. Nowadays, the series can be found on Netflix in some countries, and as I previously mentioned, it does have a bit of a cult following. But while I am glad it wasn't completely forgotten, I also feel like it deserves a lot more love than it got, especially from the channel it aired on. Chances for a TV revival like Samurai Jack are slim, since Cartoon Network has already written the show off. Tartakovsky said that 10 more episodes had been written for the series, but they will most likely never see the light of day. Which kind of begs the question, if there's so little hope for revival, why am I making this video? Well, because I think it's a great show. And like I said, I think it could use a little bit more love. It has something for everybody. You've got your romance, and your drama, and your cool robots, and your violence, and your humor, and your government conspiracies, and your secret organizations, and your aliens, and your war stories, and your characters. Oh man, the characters are the best part. I mean it when I say I love the way they are written, and the way they interact with one another, and how they grow closer as a family. And you know this girl likes a good found family story. Sym-Bionic Titan is a show that had a ton of potential and deserved much, much better. We cannot change what happened to it in the past, and we don't have many open possibilities for the future. But we can enjoy what we've got, and I believe there is a lot to be enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Well, hello there, and thank you for watching this video. If you have enjoyed the video, you can do those cool things such as liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell. You can also follow me on Twitter. Feel free to leave a comment down below, especially if it is about how much you love Sym-Bionic Titan. I would like to thank all of you for helping me reach 1,000 subscribers. I love you all from the bottom of my heart. I know things are a little crazy in the world right now, but I believe we can all pull through, and in the meantime, I'll be right here making content for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!
Are you crazy?